What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the garage. I know it's been a while since I posted. If you watched my last video, you saw that we were building a new house and moving. So we've gotten ourselves moved, we've gotten a lot of the inside stuff done, unpacked all the boxes, put the furniture together, hung up ceiling fans, things like that. So now we're back out here working in my massive garage. I love it. As you can see, it's pretty much chaos back there because I've been working mostly inside the house and haven't really had time to dedicate to out here. But today out in this heat, we're working on installing garage door openers. I opted to not have the builder install them because they do the center openers with the belt, and I like the side openers. So today I want to show you guys how to install side opener garage door openers. So the openers I opted for are the Chamberlain branded side openers. I got these because not only do they have Wi-Fi built in, but they come with the light, they come with the deadbolt, they come with the battery backup, the eyes, the remote, everything you need in the box, ready to go. We're going to be installing it up here on the left side of the garage door opener in that corner. So full disclosure, the reason all the tools are out is because I've already installed the one on the other side. This garage has 3 doors on it. And the first 2 doors, the front 2 doors are going to have openers. So that's going to be the finished product. So it turns the jack shaft that the spring and the cables are connected to in order to raise and lower the door instead of pulling on it from the center. So with the door closed, you don't have anything overhead to get in the way. So like if you want to install a lift, or you have a tall vehicle, or you just want to move stuff around in here, you don't have that big opener above your head getting in the way. So we're going to do an unbox real quick. Running, so let's get this thing unboxed and see what all we got, and then we'll get started. All right, let's rip this thing open and see what we can do. All right, first thing that hopped out is going to be the eyes. These are the safety sensors that go on either side of the garage door. That's what keeps the door from closing if your dog walks through there, your kid, or you left a box in the way or whatever. Various cables. The battery for the battery backup. That allows it to run if you have a power outage. You can still close the garage or open the garage to get your car in and out. Bag of bits, got the emergency pull handle, all the bolts, brackets, everything you need to install, plus some. I had some left over, so it's a good quality set. You even got staples to secure the wires down the studs. This device here is a slack sensor. This rides on top of the cable, and I'll show you the install to it in a little bit, but it rides on here, so if the door hits something and that cable goes slack, this closes its switch and reverses the door. It's another safety feature. This is the wall box. I'm actually going to be installing it way on the other side of the garage. I hope the wire's long enough, because I don't want to have to walk all the way over here just to open the door every time. It's got the single button remote for your car. These are the brackets for those eye sensors. They clip onto the tracks. They're really slick. My last set that I installed, I had to add some boards as a spacer to get them to clear the cables, or the tracks. These clip right on the tracks and work perfectly. This is the collar that connects your opener to that jack shaft up there. Nice heavy duty cast steel, will not break. And then this is that deadbolt I was talking about. It's automatic. You install it in the track right above one of the hinges. And so whenever the door closes, it locks and puts that stud out and blocks the wheel from going up. Keeps the garage door from being open from the outside. I haven't installed it yet. I just don't have a drill bit that's tough enough for these rails. That's big enough for that, so that'll have to be another project for another time. This is the light that comes with it. It's an LED unit. You can plug it in where your original opener is, up above, and it's wireless to the opener. Turns on and off whenever you hit the button over there. Really slick, really bright. I've already had that one on, and even in the daylight, you can really tell that it's on. All your various documentations and instructions in multiple languages. And then to the goods, the opener itself. Chamberlain opener. This is the drive shaft here that this collar connects to on either side, depending on what side you mount it on. And that's what turns the jack shaft up top. And this just mounts parallel to the rails up there. That's it. All of the electrical connections and controls are inside this door that I just opened. Also the container for the battery. So all of the wires we're going to be connecting are going to be going into here. They're all color coded. And then this is your buttons to help you set up upper limits, lower limits. It's got a nice little wire track in there to hide all the wires to go to the back. All right, so step number one in this process is to get this collar mounted up to this, and to also get the bracket mounted on the correct side to get it mounted on the wall. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and then I'll be back with you guys. All right, so number one is going to be adding this collar and this bracket. Collar is pretty straightforward. It just slides over this shaft, and you use a 3/8 box end wrench to tighten up the bolts. You want to make sure that you position this so that it's going to be easily accessible when you're up top. So you want it forward like that, so that these two are easy to get to when you put it up on the shaft up there. Doesn't have to be super tight, but it's still got to be pretty snug so that this doesn't spin. But with 2 set screws, it's pretty good. This bracket goes on the side down here. You install the slotted on here so that once you get it up there, you can slide it in and out to adjust for the distance away from the wall. Now you want these tight enough that you can slide them, but there's not a lot of up and down play, because you're going to want to slide that out to hit the wall. And just for reference, that's a 5/16 socket for those. Next step is going to be getting it mounted up on the wall. It's going to go way up there, so I got to get the ladder moved over and positioned, and then we'll get it hung up. All right, so it's pretty tight up here, but you basically just pick it up and slide that collar onto the jack shaft there on the end. And you want to slide it in far enough that you have room for your bracket here to hit wood. So as far over as you can get, but still having an area for your bracket to hit. Then you're going to use these carriage bolts that it comes with, and you're going to want to put a level on the top here to make sure it's level and make sure that it's parallel to the cable. So you see there's a little bit of play there. You can probably see it better down here. You want to make sure that it's straight up and down before you put the screws in that bracket. I'm going to do that next. I can't really do that with the camera in my hand though, so I'll show you when I get done. All right, so you get a lot more room up here with the door closed. So the collar's tightened up, bracket's bolted in, tightened up on the side, everything's level. So what I like to do when I install these is I like to pull the emergency release down here and cycle the door one time just to make sure nothing binds up, because the door moved really freely prior to the install. So I want to make sure it still moves freely after I've installed it. So I'm going to try that real quick. All right, the door is up, so I'm going to pull it back down, make sure that it moves freely. All right, it worked pretty good. It's not any more stiff than it was when we started, so I think everything's on alignment and everything's working the way it should. So we'll get set up for the next step. The next step is just to install the release handle. It's pretty straightforward. You basically just tie it to this little loop up here and you tie it in a knot. You hook it right there to that little loop. Shorten the handle as long as you want it and tighten the knot, cut off the extra. Pretty straightforward. All right, as I said earlier, we're going to skip over the installation of the deadbolt because I don't have a drill bit big enough. So the next step is going to be installing that cable tensioner I talked about. So you got some big lag bolts, you got the cable tensioner, goes above the door right there. I'll show you once we get up top. All right, so you want this device at least, or at the maximum 6 inches down from the drum. So I scribed a little line here that's 6 inches down, so we don't have to worry about that because we're not going that far down. And this device goes on top of the cable, and then you bolt it to the wall there. And it rides on top of this cable and it pushes that roller out. And then if the door hits anything or gets hung up in the tracks, it closes the switch on this tensioner and stops the door. It's a safety feature. So I'm going to get it mounted up real quick and then I'll show you how it goes. Alright, so tensioner is installed. You want to make sure that there's a gap here so that it doesn't hit that rail. You want to make sure that it can move freely. So it rides on this cable, and if there's slack in that cable, it allows that arm to drop, and that's what closes the switch. Next step is going to be run this wire up and over and into the box bottom here. Comes up through that little port, and then it connects to the two green plugs right here because it's green wire. All right, the next step in this process is going to be installing the door opener button. I have a box installed here for mine, just like from the other one. If you have sheetrock walls, it comes with sheetrock anchors. It's got a hole there in the top, and it's got a loop there in the bottom. Just mount it just right up like that. Run your wire to the red and white screws there in the back. I'm having to use different wire than what came with it because the wire that came with it is not long enough to reach all the way over there. So I'm using some wire that they had originally wired the garage with for the other garage door opener, and I hope it's long enough. So I'm going to get that hooked up, get that installed, and then we'll go back onto that end and hook it up on the opener. Alright, so you just strip the end of the wires, put a little hooks on them, and you're going to hook them on those screws, white to white, red to red, and then we'll mount it on the wall. All right, so that took quite a bit longer than I anticipated, but it's a special case for me because you typically don't have your box run all the way across a 30-foot wide garage. So I got the switch box installed here, right beside the other one. Wire goes up into the attic, all the way across. Comes down up there in that corner, through the hole, and into the bottom of the opener, and it wires into that red and white plug right there. All right. The next step on the list is going to be installing the light, and it's super straightforward, so I'm not going to video it. You literally just take 2 of these screws, you run through those holes there into the stud, and you wrap the wire around the back of it to make it nice and neat. Center it up there beside that plug on that stud right there, probably about where that line is, and plug it in. That's it. All right, the light is up, way up there. The next step is going to be installing these brackets for the eyes. Like I stated earlier, they're really trick. They click right on these shafts here, or the belt, just like that. So the biggest thing is you have to make sure that they're the same height. And for this door, because it's a windstorm rated door, it's got these big heavy braces on it. It's got to be lower than that because this brace will be in the way of the sensor and it'll block the door. So they've got to be pretty low. This is them installed on the other door. You can see they just clip on there. And there's one on the other side over there. And they light up green and yellow whenever they are in sync. Step 2 of the eye install is actually installing the eye itself on this bracket. So the eye is here. It uses a hex nut that goes in the recess on the back, and it uses a wing nut. So you drop this in this way, put the bolt through the back, and tighten the wing nut down. And just snug them up kind of straight for now, because you may have to adjust them later. But just get them kind of flat, kind of straight. You do both sides, just like that. The wire run for this side is going to be pretty simple. You just basically run it up the side of the door here, up and over the cover or the opener, secure it somehow, and then run it in. But don't connect it yet because they have to twist together. And then this other side is going to go same thing all the way up, but then it's going to go across the top, preferably above the spring to keep it out of harm's way. Way up there, all the way across, and then drop it down to the same place, and then you twist the 2 wires from each end together before you plug them into the brown and white plugs right there. All right, so the last step is going to be to install the battery backup. This is the battery. Goes on its side inside that hole there, and it connects to these 2 wires. Red and black, pretty straightforward. Got to pop these little covers off first. Slide the battery in like that. And then connect the 2 wires up. A little stiff. All right. You clean your wires up, tuck them in the back so you can put your cover back on it. And then we will be done with install. We got to now adjust it. Unfortunately, I haven't had a visit from the electrician yet, so I don't have power over here, so I'm going to have to run an extension cord over to that plug for now until the electrician comes out and runs the boxes. But we can at least make it work. So let me get this cover back on, get everything shut down, get the power connected, and then I'll show you how to adjust it. All right, we are powered up and ready to begin The sensor eyes are green, means they're connected. We've got power to the box. So the first thing you do is you hold this center button until the up arrow starts blinking. Just like that. Now you hold the up arrow and the door will start going up, and you continue holding the button until the door reaches the upward limit that you want it to stop at. I like to stop it where the end is still slightly hanging over, kind of like that, because these doors tend to get slack in the cable if you get them all the way up on the top. So once that's done, you hit the center button to set your upper travel, and then you hold the down button until the door reaches the ground, and you set your lower travel. You have to keep holding the button down while the door is going. And then you hit the center button again, and that will set it. The light blinks a couple of times, it beeps a lot, and then it's going to cycle itself, because now it's sensing how much pressure it needs to open and close that door. And that's how it knows whether something's in the way and to stop. So all the way up, it beeps a bunch. And then it'll go all the way down. And that's it for the upper and lower limits. The next step is to test the sensor. You put a 2x4 under the door and make sure that it stops and goes the other direction. So that's done. Close the lid, make it look pretty. Now you go get your remote and you open the door again. You get your piece of scrap wood or something that you don't mind destroying, because if the door malfunctions, it's going to crush it. That's a heavy door. So you put that here in the way. This is to mimic a kid leaving a toy or whatever. Hit the button again. The door will go down. Door will strike the obstruction. Door will stop and reverse. Once it beats all the way to the top, the light up there will blink a bunch of times telling you that it had a malfunction. Just like that. And the final safety test is to test the eye sensor. So you take something that is solid and you put it in the way. See how the light sensor is now blinking? That means that there's something in the way and it can't see that side. So if I hit the button, the door should not move, and if it only moves just a little bit. Yeah, it says nope. You done messed up? Fix it or I'm not working. I'll kick this out of the way. Hit the button again. Down it goes. There it is. So that pretty much wraps up the installation of an overhead side opener for a garage door. There are some other things I'm going to do. I'm going to add a keypad to the outside so that I can open both doors from the keypad. And I also have a try button for all three of the doors I'm planning on installing to put inside the Jeep. Old Eugene needs all the buttons. But that'll be for another day because I am hot and dinner should be here in just a minute. And I'm starving. So that should be it. Let me show you what we got in store for the next door opener, because it's going to be a doozy. All right, so the final third door I have here is going on this monster 14-foot door. I don't know if you can see the drum up there. My ladder's not tall enough. Even that ladder, I don't know if I'm going to be able to reach it. I'm going to have to source a bigger ladder. So that's going to be the next one on the list. But I've got to get more hardware before I can do it. So that'll be a future video. For now, we're done with this one. As always, thank you guys for hanging out with me here in the new and improved Blake's Garage. It's going to be a lot of work, but I'm excited for it. Got a lot of things planned out here. A lift, some more lighting, some workbenches, some toolboxes. We're going to build a bar on the other side over there. There's a long list of stuff to do. So hopefully you guys will enjoy the content. If you want to subscribe, that way you'll get some notifications whenever I post up new things. If you've got anything particular you would like for me to try to do, post me some comments, give me some suggestions. Let me know. I love to interact with you guys. But for now, I'm going to finish it off. Dinner just arrived. So you guys have a wonderful weekend and rock on.